Let's call it the slaughter, which you executed on the Breakfast Club last week. Oh my God. That was impressive. What did you think when that was over, when that hour and 6 minutes was over? Did you know that you had slaughtered everybody in the room?
Well, Jason, you remember Randall Tex Cobb, that fighter who fought Larry Holmes for 15 rounds? Randall Tex Cobb had no offense, but he could take a punch like nobody's business. You could kick him with a mule, he would not fall. Hit him with a baseball bat, he would not fall. And Larry Holmes wailed on him for 15 rounds. Randall Tex Cobb lost every single round, but he did not go down. And when the fight was over, Cobb was asked if he wanted a rematch. And he said no. Larry's hands couldn't take the punishment. Well, I felt that my hands couldn't take the punishment anymore, Jason.
Of course, they're talking about the Breakfast Club beatdown when Larry Elder made an appearance on the Breakfast Club. They had a lot more to say about it before we played that. Just for those who didn't see it, I want to play just one of the quick highlight, one of the best punches that was thrown in that fight.
I know you probably got to go. Have you ever heard of the term wake-up call?
No.
It is an incident where a person of color forgets that they are of color and are reminded rather brutally by an unexpected act of racism. Have you ever had any of those?
Oh, brother.
I'm just asking. You think you've ever
Well,
had
I'm acutely aware, Charlemagne, that I'm a black person, just as you are a black person. And when Joe Biden insulted you by saying, you ain't really black, we don't know whether or not you want to vote for me or vote for Donald Trump, it seems to me that should have been a wake-up call on your part. How dare this guy come in here and insult you, a black man, and tell you you got to think a certain kind of way? I'm amazed that you weren't mad about that.
Finally, somebody called him out for that. People just let that slide, pretending like it didn't really happen. It took a black conservative running for president for somebody to finally step in and at least say something about it directly to Charlemagne. You can go watch the tape. He had no response.
I'm on another show in New York a few days ago called the Andrew Wilkow Show. And Andrew, during the break, told me that Charlemagne the God listens to his show and that he had been on Charlemagne the God's program before. And I said, that's interesting. I've been trying to get on it for years. He'll have some white conservative on, but he doesn't want to have any black conservatives on. So I went up back on the air after the break was over, and I called Charlemagne out. I called him a coward. I said, you're willing to have these white male conservatives on who are going to tiptoe around and not say the truth, but you don't want to have me on. I know people right now are hearing this show who also like Charlemagne the God show. You tell Charlemagne, Larry Elder called him a coward. 2 days later, Jason, I was booked. Now, I don't know whether there's a connection between the two. I'm just telling you, 2 days later, I was booked.
I respect the fact that Charlemagne the God stepped up to the plate, took the challenge when he was called out, even though it didn't work out that well for them. They need to stop having the female attack dog come in and derail those discussions, find somebody more intellectual who can measure arms with somebody like Larry Elder, and it'll probably be a more interesting discussion. I personally don't think it will matter that much. I've never seen Larry Elder lose a debate, but at least they will save face a little bit. But right now, they have been taking a lot of L's whenever they bring somebody with political opposing views. But let's get back onto it.
So when it was over, how did they respond to you? Did you guys shake hands? Was it on good terms? Do you think they were aware of how bad they looked?
I don't think so. I don't think Tez was. She was not in studio, so there was no physical interaction with her. But after that, DJ Envy and Charlemagne and I took pictures. I was smiling. They were not smiling, but I don't think they're smiley people anyway. But I really don't believe that they knew that they got a beat down. And I learned that a long time ago. One time years ago, I had this Democrat politician on, and I beat him up pretty badly. My producer and I were laughing at how badly he was beaten up. This was in Cleveland. There aren't a whole lot of restaurants for breakfast in Cleveland near where I was. So we go to the same restaurant. We end up sitting back to back in on a bench-like setting, and there was a big kind of wooden wall between us, and I could hear them. They didn't realize we were on the other side. And that politician and his aide were bragging about how they gave Larry Elder a beatdown. I mean, were you at the same interview I was at? So I've learned a long time ago that most of these people are clueless. They don't have enough self-awareness to realize when they've gotten their clocks clean. And so I really don't think that Charlemagne felt that way until, assuming he read his the comments. 85% of the comments, according to people that have read them, have said things like, wow, I didn't know this, I didn't know that. A lot of the stuff that Elder was saying was unpleasant, but it was refreshing to hear it, and Elder sure beat these guys down. So I'm sure that Charlemagne is aware that the perception from his own fans is that he got clobbered.
So what I think about all these unfiltered conversations that are having, where it's not funneled through the pipeline of mainstream media, I think that we're hearing a lot of arguments get challenged in ways that we previously have not heard them challenged in an unrestricted, unmanaged kind of way, and it's happening on live streams. We're seeing people's raw reaction. So I think what we're finding out, and I think Black people got to take a strong look at this, is that a lot of the arguments, a lot of the pro-Black arguments, a lot of them don't hold up to scrutiny. A lot of them are baked in emotions, in feelings. And I think what gets exposed when we have these conversations, I'm glad no white person was in the room. It was just Black people having a conversation about Black issues. And you could see and measure exactly how things play out. And you could see and measure the flaws in the arguments. Not that everything that Larry Elder said was perfect. There are some things that you could nitpick at, definitely. But for the most part, the overwhelming percentage of arguments that and complaints and gripes that Black people essentially have, a lot of it, when you put it under a fine-tooth comb, you put it under the microscope, I should say, it just doesn't hold up. But let me know what you think about that. I'll put the link in the chat for the whole video. And with that said, ladies and gentlemen, we are out of here. Peace. We gone.